while it's fresh in my mind. Episode 4 of Trev's review show here on Trev TV. I'm Trev. You know that. Thanks for tuning in. Glad you're here. So I went and did a thing tonight. Well, last night, because it is now March 2nd. Yesterday was March 1st, obviously. I went and saw Lords of Chaos. And I'm going to give you my review of it right now. Keep in mind, I did say this is still fresh in my mind. I just got home not even half an hour ago, so it's that fresh right now. But I did still pull up my brain, Wikipedia, to help refresh my memory in not most parts, but some parts, just in case I need it. But anyway, this is going to be a spoiler, so if you don't want to be spoiled, I'll either timestamp the end of the video, or you can just not watch this one. This will be the only time I encourage you not to watch, is if you don't want to be spoiled. So having said all that, I'm going to get to basically my interpretation of the summary and overall what I thought of it as a project, as a story, and well, as a follow-up to a book. So basically, Lords of Chaos is supposed to be about the black metal scene in Norway, but it really only focuses more on the formation of the original lineup of Mayhem. If you're unfamiliar with who Mayhem is, pull up the brain, read the story. I'm not going to bore you too much because I am spoiling you at this moment, so if you don't know the details, keep watching. I'll sum up basically the formation of the band in a matter of minutes. But anyways, it starts at the beginning. You got Euronymous, who's played by Rory Culkin, not Macaulay Culkin, Rory Culkin. You got Necro Butcher, Mannheim, and Maniac. And, well, obviously the last two get replaced eventually by Hellhammer and a Swedish singer named Dead. And I mean, I'll get to my problems with the movie in a bit. But anyway, it basically shows how Dead became part of the band and how they worked with him as far as like showmanship and whatever else goes. It shows a lot of scenes where he's cutting himself really good. Oh, they were showing where they had to patch him up with duct tape. That's one thing. So, I mean, he was pretty messed. I mean, one of the first scenes you get to meeting of Dead is he picks up a dead fox and sniffs it. So very early on, you meet Dead. Very early on, you meet Varg, whose real name is Christian. Remember that. They meet Christian, who's basically just a fanboy trying to fit in, is what I interpreted it to be. Keep in mind, I don't know the cast of characters in real life. I never met them. This is before I was even an adult. So I'm not character assassinating. I'm just going on a review. That's all. But anyway, yeah, you meet Christian. And it doesn't really go through this time span of years. It does explain in the beginning how they lived in the house for a year in the woods in Norway, and Dead was just a depressed individual. He wasn't there. But they go right to Dead's suicide scene early, and they show him cutting up his wrists and slicing his neck, then bringing the shotgun. And then Euronymous comes home, finds him. I don't know if he had a moment of reflection where he encouraged him, hey, all it takes is one shot and you're done. But instead of calling the cops, he goes to the hardware store, picks up a camera, and I'm surprised he didn't get questioned on this at the time. In Canada, we have laws with tampering. If you move any pieces of the crime scene, you're guilty of tampering. But apparently they don't do that in Norway. Who knew, right? But anyway, after that, he gets the pictures developed. They show you the picture from the Dawn of the Blackhearts bootleg album, which, if you really want to see it, look it up. I have my own reservations about showing you that on here. I mean, my daughter does watch this sometimes, so I'll keep that out. and it shows him handing out necklaces, which insults Necro Butcher to the point of where he quits. So Ref, the band's out, a singer and a bassist. This is where the fun begins. Where they start introducing the whole I'm better than you storyline, meaning Euronymous would do one thing and then Varg would do something completely different. He changed his name now. His name's not Christian, it's Varg. Don't call him Christian, it's Varg. But Euronymous opens up the store. Helvete, which is Norwegian for hell. Which becomes basically the who's who place for all the black metalers that just want to hang out, listen to tunes, drink beer, and do whatever. But when you had all the cool guys there, I mean, you had dudes. We had Varg, obviously. You had dudes from Dark Throne. You had dudes from Emperor. They were all hanging out, doing their thing. Where they decide, hey, we're gonna be the Black Circle, like it's a, I don't know, like it's a gang or like it's some kind of trivial scene thing. I don't know. I guess that was important to the story because it basically cements the character of Varg as somebody who just wants to fit in and be part of this whole black metal scene. And if that means doing extreme shit, he wants to do extreme shit. They kind of paint him as a nationalist, as somebody who's just very, let's not talk about it, let's just do it. And it's also kind of introduced at this point where they start burning the churches. This is where Varg burns the first one. They have a couple more, then eventually Faust and then Euronymous jump in on it, and they're all burning churches. There's so many of them. It was pretty funny. I went to the movie with a guy from work, and the first thing I said to him after the show was, gnarly show, you want to burn a fucking church? There's a lot of church burnings in there. It was after that point where Euronymous kind of thought of it as, again, the competition seed planted and whatever else, that Varg was stealing all his credit, all his thunder. So the best way to keep him contained is to ask him to join the band. And this is where Varg joins Mayhem. They recruit Attila, and they record De Mysterious Dom Satanas, which as soon as I get it, I'm probably going to review it. I've only been listening to it for, say, 6 days straight. So I've got a pretty good idea as to how that album sounds, and the fact that I'm only running into it 25 years after the fact is beside the point. But another story for another time. Excuse me. And this is where Varg starts getting really serious. It's like, okay, we're either gonna start burning down this shit, or you're just a fucking poser. And this is where it's like, oh, really? You're becoming an emo film now? And it all became about being a poser, and being a poser. You can't be a poser if you want to do it for the belief, if you want to do it for the system, whatever. And it got really, really hard at this point. And this is what's ultimately, this leads up to Faust killing a gay man in Lillehammer. And believe it or not, he got away with it for about a year before he finally got busted. It happens, right? Right. So after Faust kills a guy, eventually the police are swarming in on all the black metalers and what they're doing. They're trying to connect the dots to the crimes and whatever else. Helvete gets raided and shut down. Too much attention, and Varg is arrested because he was stupid enough to give an interview saying, yeah, I might know who did it. I think it might have been these guys, but I know who did it. They just point him out as just, But he gets released for lack of evidence. So he was just talking it. But at the same time, black metal's now gotten all this exposure. And Euronymous is attaching himself to as much as he can just to stay relevant at this point. Well, like I said, whether or not it's the I'm better than you, so I'm going to outduel you, or I'm just going to attach myself to you, they pointed both guys out as posers, one wanting to fit in, one wanting to create a scene. and just keep it exclusive, but apparently, touring is for posers and nobody does that. Keep it contained, keep it local, all that fun stuff. I get it. It happens. So, because Varg went to the press and because Varg got arrested, Euronymous is obviously upset. The scene is not going the way he wanted it to, and he says something stupid like, I'm gonna kill him. This gets round to Varg, and yeah, the rest is history. I shouldn't leave you guys hanging like that. Obviously, if I've spoiled this much for you, I might as well spoil the rest, right? So Varg goes all the way from Bergen to Oslo, 460k, or however long it is. I think it's 500k. Before all this, Euronymous sent Varg a contract saying, hey, if you sign this, I'll give you back your music. You can have everything you want out of what I'm supposed to owe you. I'll pay you back, yada, yada, yada. Sent him the contract, told him to sign it and send it back. And he said, hey, we can still be friends, right? Obviously, Varg thought, no. So he drove from Bergen to Oslo to stab him to death. They had the dispute over the contract. Varg signed it, obviously. They had a problem with each other. And I think with being threatened with a death threat, whether it was talking shit or whether it was actually true, and being told, hey, I'm going to torture you and I'm going to put you in a snuff film and I'm going to kill you while I'm torturing you and all that stuff. I take that seriously too, but there's nothing really saying it was a self-defense thing. Is more or less it was just a, hey, you threatened to kill me, I'm going to kill you. I mean, I've heard one side of the story, and seeing this side doesn't necessarily say yes or no. But in the end, Euronymous is dead, stabbed many, many, many times, once really viciously in the head. Oh. And yeah, seeing all this is Necro Butcher, the original bass player, and Hellhammer, the drummer, who are essentially the last two members of Mayhem. I mean, well, I guess Hellhammer would be, because he was the drummer. Still is, actually. But yeah, that was the story of Mayhem. Varg went to jail. And yeah, in a nutshell, that's a summary. So some of the things I liked. I love that there was Mayhem music in it. I mean, yeah, I can clarify the rumor for you. There is Mayhem music in there. There's no Bertson music. Can you understand why? Let's find out. But I loved that there was Mayhem music in it. It made me happy. If that was actually shot in Norway, then Norway is a beautiful fucking country, might I say. What I didn't like, and I knew going in, and the guy I went with knew going in, that because it wasn't completely Europeanized, it was Americanized. That really bugged me. Keep it authentic. Like, come on. The fact that it just felt like an emo movie at some points. And the fact that it really couldn't be accurate on the character level as some sources would have. I mean, if you listen to Varg's YouTube channel, if you haven't checked it out, check it out. I'm going to put the address right there. It was... I'm not going to speak for him. You can go to the channel and see for yourself. This is me endorsing it. Overall, I wouldn't say it was a bad film. I wouldn't say it's the worst film I've ever seen. I wouldn't say it's the best film I've ever seen. How does the old gimmick go? Todd James, the guy who does the movie reviews for ITV or Global News, sorry. I don't know if he still does them or not. I haven't watched the news in a very long time. 2.5 kernels of popcorn out of 5. Like I said, it's not the best, it's not the worst. But what else did I really like about this film? I loved the performance by Jack Kilmer. Yes, that is Val Kilmer's boy. I loved Jack Kilmer and how he portrayed Dead. Dead was such a tragic character. I mean, in real life and in fiction, he was just, according to the story, he was bullied so hard as a kid that he actually died for a little bit and never really got over it. Like, didn't know how to deal, whatever the case might have been. His whole obsession with life was death and dying and being dead. Granted, some of these things happen. I don't know. Maybe it was walking corpse syndrome. I don't know. But, because I couldn't get used to the Americanization in a European story. Ugh, that bugs me. The cast wasn't the best casting, wasn't the worst casting, but, you know, I don't make films. I can't tell these guys how to make a film or who to put in it. But would I encourage you to see it? Only if you're curious. Then and only then. If it's your thing, I'd definitely go see it. If you wanted to get more of a metal education, that's your film. But yeah, I mean, it's nothing I would write home about. There are worse films that I have seen. That was episode 4 of the review show, if you can believe that. I've only done 4 review shows. I should do more. I might. This weekend I might. What I'm thinking of doing is an album review of the movie I just reviewed. Or more or less a Mayhem album review. Because, like I said, for me, I've been listening to them for 6 straight days. I don't know why I didn't get into them sooner, but it is what it is, right? What can you do? I am also planning on doing and actually releasing an updated pool points video between me and myself and Melissa. But yeah, other than that, it's all ideas at this point. So, having said all that, I want to thank you for tuning in. Yes, you. Your viewership always means so much to me. Always has, always will. I'm very thankful that I have viewers that have watched my videos in the hundreds and now the thousands. I have a video that's in the thousands. I know that's chump change to a lot of YouTubers, but I've never had a video hit 1,000 in any incantation of Trev TV, so I am incredibly thankful for that. You can find me on Facebook at Trev's TV. You can find me on Instagram at rockstartrev TV. In the meantime, and in between time, be on the lookout for more videos from the Trev. Later.